This might just be shit, who knows?
Oh. Is this the kind of people we are? We film like this, lounging around on a sofa,
I mean, considering
chopping our heads off.
considering we've just started, yes, this is the kind of people we are because we don't really know what we're doing.
What kind of people are we?
Hi.
Hi.
So should I just
Did you do like this the whole time?
Yeah.
Hi. This is what we do.
Okay. I guess we'll figure this out. This is the first one.
Yes. Okay, so let's go back in time. This is MC Culture Consult.
Hi. My name is Christina,
I am Michelle
and we live in Germany.
and work in Luxembourg. Yes, we are sitting here on a sofa, chillaxing and having a chat. And that's what today is about, just chatting, discussing how we got here, why we're here, just a little bit of an intro into us initial experiences.
Yep. So when did you first come to Germany?
2005.
Yeah. 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
And why did you come to Germany?
I came to Germany for a year-long teaching exchange, and I never left.
Because it's so amazing, you decided to stay.
There are great opportunities here. As an American, I felt like this was my one opportunity. You know, it's not necessarily easy as an American to earn a place, earn a contract with a company in Europe, right? I can't just come over and be like, "Hi, I'm an American, give me a job." So my partner and I, my husband and I, we really kind of felt like this was our shot, and just see how long we can keep doing what we're doing.
It is crazy how the stories end up bringing us to different locations. I mean, I studied German at university many, many moons ago, and I returned for the love of a German guy. And he happens to come from a little village nearby where we now live, and that's how I ended up here. Yeah, and I never imagined that I would be moving to Germany because I came from London. So there was every opportunity possible for me in London and in England. But it was love that brought me here.
And where we live now is so not
London.
It's not even like, I come from Portland, Oregon, in the United States, and it's not even that. It's. I mean, thank gosh that we have the history that we have here, that we have Luxembourg nearby, that we have the university, because otherwise it would just be this little tiny village.
It is a tiny village. I do actually, no disrespect where we are. Now it is, as Christina said, it's very much to do with the university, it's to do with history, it's to do with tourism, and obviously with beautiful vineyards, which makes it handy for drinking wine.
Yeah, we have great wine. I know everyone thinks of German beer. The two are synonymous, right? But Germany makes really great wine, especially white wine, and especially in our region. So everyone is familiar with the Rhine region and their wine, but the Moselle, where we live, has really nice white wines as well.
And it's really not a beer area. Beer is more sort of south of Germany, isn't it? Like Munich, as everybody knows about the beer festivals and everything. Whereas here, what's also they're famous for is Fietz, which is cider.
No, I don't like it.
Well, German Fietz or German cider is very different to British cider, which is very sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know what American cider's like.
Crap.
And German cider is very, very sour, very bitter.
When I lived in London, I liked the cider. I think I've tried to have it a few times since then, and I think, oof, it's too much for me now. But here they usually mix the cider with lemonade, with sparkling water, with
anything to make it taste
else
better.
to make it taste better. The first time that it was introduced to me, someone said, we call it Fietz because that's what it smells and tastes like.
No, really?
Yes. And they still ordered it. And so I ordered it and I thought, yeah.
Except
no.
for feats would be in English teaching language would be classed as a false friend there.
Yeah.
Because the way you spell the word feats is F-I-E-T-Z as in the drink, but obviously feet plural, the stinky ones, not ours. It's F-E-E-T.
Not ours.
Not ours. Woo-hoo.
And so what was your first impression of Germany?
Okay, so my first impression when I came here in, when was it? 98. I studied at the university and yeah, it was very different to my experience studying in the UK. It was like back then, the supermarkets shut on a Saturday, I think, at 12.
Yeah.
And
I've heard about this.
Yeah, everything was shut on a Sunday, still is.
Yes.
But at least things are open on a Saturday later. Or there was the petrol stations.
Yeah.
So it was really quite trippy. But you know, it was nice being here. I enjoyed being at the university, but I wasn't massively integrated into the German culture per se, because I was predominantly hanging out with other foreigners. Yeah, but I actually met my husband, who was my boyfriend then for a very short period of time, at the university.
So even though you weren't really hanging out with many Germans, what did you believe or understand about Germany at that time that you can remember?
Well, the thing is I had a different input to a lot of people who maybe came to Germany for the first time with none previously, because I had a great aunt who lived in Munich, and she was my reason for learning German. She wasn't actually German, but she lived there for many years, and she spoke like a million languages, but not English. And so I started learning French with her, but I connected more with the German language. So my first experiences of Germany were Munich. So Munich was obviously a big bustling city with loads of culture and amazing restaurants and cafes, and I really love Munich. I really, really love Munich. I've spent many summers there, and was with mum and dad travelling through Germany and Munich. So that for me was my German experience. It's like getting lost in culture, really, isn't it? It's like the expectation of things will be like they are at home, but they're not, because you and I both understand German. This is Europe, so you kind of expect it to be the same like the UK or Germany, but it's so not. It's very different.
Yeah. And so, do you remember having any culture shock when you did deal with anything German when you were first here? Because it's so similar but different?
At university, I think what was the big difference was they didn't really want you to think. It sounds strange, but in England at university you're encouraged to come with your ideas and your thoughts and things, whereas here in Germany it's like, yeah, just kind of regurge what you know already and just get back to us with what you know. Whereas here it's like, no, we don't want to hear what you have to say. Just come back, get the info out that we taught you. So
I wonder if that's the same now. I when I first came here and started teaching, students told me that they were drawn to English partly because, yeah, it's a universal language right now, but also because it's relatively easy to learn, and thirdly because the courses were so fun. The courses were a give and take. It wasn't just, okay, here's this information and take it. Professors have a PhD. They have experience in research, and they have experience in conveying that research and that knowledge, but they don't necessarily have experience in teaching. Yeah. And I think that is universal.
yeah,
It's just, I think it's specific to the profession, unfortunately. When I first moved here, I thought, I have also taught in South Korea for a short time, and
me too.
like right away, our cell phones worked there, so we had access to internet. The internet is amazing. I think they have the best connection or connectivity in the world. Very apparent. Like basically, you get off the plane and
When I was there, I didn't have a cell phone.
and it didn't matter, where you were in the country, because we were in a couple big cities, and then in the countryside, and we always had amazing connectivity. And in Portland, at my home university, like I worked all the time. And we had public Wi-Fi or coffee shops. You know, there was Wi-Fi everywhere. And when I first came here, I was expecting that, and I suddenly felt so disconnected because there was no public Wi-Fi. There was no coffee shops. Did not have, would not give you access. You know, the German Datenschutz, the privacy is so paramount. I remember living at the university in the student accommodations, and we had 2 gigabytes a month that we were allowed to use. And the Germans that I knew at the time that were students, graduate students, you know, they would tell me, like, you keep going over your allotted time, your allotted amount of 2 gigabytes a month. It would take me like a week to go over that amount. And they didn't understand why. They're like, I never have this problem. Why do you have this problem? And
what were they doing with this? With the?
I don't know.
I mean, when I was here, there wasn't internet, especially not like it is today.
Right.
So my experience was totally different anyway, which
Yeah.
is like really trippy when you think about it. Because
But
nowadays you have apps and stuff on your phone. You, as a student coming to Germany today, if you didn't know something, you Google it.
Because I was so used to this in America and in South Korea, and then here it was like, well, if you don't know, you don't know, and it's not my problem. I'm not going to tell you, and don't use so much data. And it's like, but what am I supposed to do, right? I used to go to the library and sit outside on a rock at like midnight and to use the free Wi-Fi because I didn't have internet in my room. Because even if I would pay to get the internet unlocked, I would still have to wait for the next month. I didn't have data on my phone, right? Because I didn't need it in America, and I was like, why do I need it here? And it was really expensive at the time. Now it's incredibly cheap. How times have changed. And the difference is that in America, when I didn't necessarily have data in America, but I had service almost everywhere. Not having service was so rare. Like, I had nationwide coverage.
But okay, let's go back for a second.
Well, but so hold on. So here, you have your home Wi-Fi, you have your mobile data, and it doesn't matter. You might go drive in the country, or you might be on the train, going through the countryside, and all of a sudden you don't have service.
Yeah.
And it's why not? And it's just because they don't, like, there are black holes of service in Germany, and it's still to this day. I mean, it has improved, but it still amazes me, and I think maybe that's one of the biggest points that has stuck throughout the time that I've been here.
Yeah.
That there are still black holes. There are less than there used to be, but like, oh. What is this, 2001? What are...
Just to bring you up to speed, it's 2021. Germany is a really big country.
Yes, it is.
And it's like, there's a huge difference whether you go north, south, east or west. There's a difference in, I think, the way the schools are run, difference in the way the universities are run, difference in the way the cities feel, the vibe, difference in the language, in words. It's like so extreme that there are certain words or dialects that one German doesn't necessarily understand the other. Like where my husband comes from, they have a dialect called German. Platt, that's it, Platt. They're talking Platt, which...
Different areas, actually, they call it Platt. It's not just specific to ours.
It's like Frankish Platt, Mosel Platt, whatever Platt, This would happen. But let's talk about Germans. There's a lot to say. It's a beautiful people as a nation.
Yeah, first impressions of Germans. So in America, and I assume in Britain too, the stereotype is that Germans are not funny. They are tone deaf. That they're monotonous in the way that they speak and communicate, and they sound angry if they speak their own language.
Interesting. I would have also added to that from a British perspective. They are very punctual. Their public transport is supposed to be immaculate.
Yes.
They're obviously famous for their cars.
Yes. And beer.
And beer. And football.
And
because-
Hitler.
Yeah, unfortunate. That little chap called Hitler, who, as a reminder, was actually Austrian.
Yeah.
People do forget that.
But it was really, before I moved here,
Strudel, pretzels,
yeah.
sausages.
A lot of the general Americans that I was friends with, not necessarily academics, but like average people, the first time that you say Germany, they say beer, cars, Hitler in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the 50s, it's not the 60s, it's 2021. I don't find the German language aggressive or angry.
Es ist eigentlich eine sehr schöne Sprache.
Yeah.
Which translates to, it's actually a very nice language.
Yeah, I mean it's not like French or Spanish, but it has its own nice way about it.
But if you're really angry or cross, it can work really well. So my children are brought up with German and English at home, and I speak 90% English to them. But when I'm angry, I will turn around and speak to them in German, because it just sounds so much more aggressive when you want to be cross, and it just punches at home. So the kids know that when I'm speaking German at them, if I'm not in public around other people, then it's because I'm annoyed.
Yeah. Another stereotype I heard was that Germans were loud. And this is funny because Americans historically are loud.
I think Germans are actually, as a nation, really quiet.
They are. They really are. The only time that I would say that they're ever really loud is if it's related to football or drunkenness.
Or in the old days when they were fighting for a space at the beach or by the pool.
You know, but what I...
Cliche.
My husband and I went to Mallorca before our son was born. We stayed at a hotel. It was Brits and Germans in the hotel, because apparently only Brits and Germans go to Mallorca. Everyone, the Brits and the Germans, would put their towels down the night before in where they were going to sunbathe the next day.
Spot.
But I never heard anyone arguing or complaining about that. Before we got there and then after we left, oh yeah, people were like, oh, the Germans, oh, the Brits, they both complained that the other did this.
We're doing the same thing.
But they were both doing the same thing. I thought that was really, really funny. And in my experience, when a German is upset, they tend to get quieter. As an American, if I'm upset, I will raise my voice. I raise my voice.
As a half Mediterranean mother, Greek Italian, I can be quite fiery.
Yeah. Once, when a girlfriend of mine was helping me at the foreigner's office, we had come to an impasse, right? I was supposed to receive an update on my student visa, and as far as we understood, I wasn't supposed to pay for it, but my caseworker was telling me I had to pay for it, and we kept asking, is there a way that we could please double check this? Mm-hmm. And she's, no, you just have to pay. No, you just have to pay. And so it's like, okay, well, if we pay and then we find out that we didn't need to pay, can we get a refund? No.
What happens to the money then? Goes into a pocket?
Right. What happens to it? And the caseworker was just really being unreasonable, but in my opinion, she was following procedure, right? But
that's what the Germans like to do.
Yeah, but what I found amazing, right, and I really did not understand German at this point. This was very early days. What I found really interesting was that both my friend and the caseworker, their voices got much quieter, and like they talked like this. And I don't know what's going on. I just know both of these people got suddenly like so much quieter, and I just sat there completely confused. And when we got up to leave, while we were still in the room, I said, what just happened? And my friend said, nope, we need to leave the building first. And we left the building, and she was like, oh my gosh, that woman was so unreasonable, and so, we just argued, and wait, that was an argument? That was an argument? You guys were like whispering at each other. That was not an argument. And I found that so interesting. And of course, in my limited experience with Germans, it's usually friends of friends or students that I have, when I've seen them really show emotion and really be loud, is if there's alcohol involved or sports, football.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they like really get excited.
But that's also as far as I understand, like that's football is like the one time that it's socially acceptable for them to have like national pride and unity, basically thanks to Hitler and World War II.
Yeah, well, this is true. The rest of the year, you'll never see German flags really around. You'll never see people being proud and wearing a hat that's got the German colours or anything. But when it's football season, everything's pushed out. Everything's then like, hey, let's paint our nails that colour. Let's get excited. Let's all, celebrate and love football. And it's not in a hooliganism way. It's just as a unity thing, which is strange because the rest of the time the country doesn't feel like you should be able to dress identically or anything like that. Which actually, if we look at schools as an example, in the UK, obviously most schools have uniforms, which I personally think is a great thing, and I really wish it was the case here, but it's not. And like you said, many people say it's because of reference to World War II that they don't want to be putting people in uniforms, and I find that sad because I think it helps to be able to identify who's a child and who should be at school and who's not. It's not a case of taking identity away, but obviously in America, you only have uniforms at private schools and posh schools, don't you?
Mm-hmm. In the same vein of identity and awareness, when you move here, you have 2 weeks to register with the city, and so that and when you register, they ask you your religion. And first impression, that weirded me out.
I don't remember that far back.
Yeah. Because it was like, wait, you don't want to track people, but you do, huh? What? So yeah, you can't just, like in America, you move, you have to update your mailing address and change your license. I think that's pretty much it. Update your paperwork, mailing addresses, driver's license, but you don't have to like go to City Hall and tell local government that, hi, I live here now, and yes, I would like to pay taxes to the local church or not. The other thing was when I was first looking for work, creating a CV with my picture on it. That was also really bizarre to me, but that was standard. I know that the EU has moved away from that, and Germany has moved away from that, but
a little bit. You were still getting the CVs from the Germans with, a CV like this with a booklet with every proof of everything since the beginning of time.
Of course.
And probably a full-page photo as well as a small passport photo, and this is costing a lot of money for these people.
Well, but also, why are we doing this? Because I asked.
And because I said yes.
Yeah. Because we get together for coffee, and we will say...
And wine.
We will say, okay, but I have a thing at 2. I have a thing at 2. And then it's 10 to 2, and then one of us is like, do you...
Don't you have to be somewhere?
Do we really have to... Do you have to? And it's like, well, no, let me... I'll cancel it, it's fine, no. Or, we don't have a thing at 2.
And then it's suddenly 6.
Yeah.
Because we just keep talking. We talk. We have a lot of opinions, a lot of
This is
thoughts,
what
a lot to share.
happens. This is what happens when we get together. We have a coffee, and we start talking about one thing, and then...
And it turns into wine, and we talk about another.
Well, and then it's like 5 hours later, and it feels like no time has passed. I just thought, we talk about some really interesting things.
And we've had some super interesting experiences.
Yes, we've both lived quite interesting lives. We are foreigners here, raising children, trying to figure out our adult lives as mothers and partners and co-workers and friends. Let's record it.
And eventually it would be great to bring on board some of the people we have met on our journey and who are in our lives, because we know in this little town that we live in, we know very diverse number of human beings who have very, very mixed stories, different reasons for why they're here.
Really wonderful people.
It's such a small town. There is a lot of diversity now.
And I feel really lucky to know so many different wonderful people. predominantly women, but that's also the nature of how we became friends.
So this will be a forum, a platform, a speaky spot, a drop place for ideas, experiences, memories.
A speaky spot.
Speaky spot.
A speaky spot.
But we want to be able to share these ideas with you all and see what your thoughts and opinions are and whether you resonate with what we're saying. But generally, I would say it could be a fun ride.
Yeah.
So,
great.
From Christina and Michelle and Christina, this is MC
Culture Consult.
MC Culture Consult.